Hey there, Variety here. Welcome to today's video in which I will be doing a level 1 to level 50 blacksmithing guide for brighter swords. In today's video, we'll talk about why you want to do blacksmithing, we'll talk about the recipes for blacksmithing, we'll talk about how you do blacksmithing, both at the Goblin Forge and the Gnome Forge, and I'll provide a couple of links for extra information so you can look at more precise information as you're doing smithing. Okay, so let's get to it. Why blacksmithing? Why would you want to raise this skill? So the blacksmith skill does a couple of things. Its primary function is that it creates gear for the cryo knights. So it creates your weaponry that you use in combat. So it's actually very important. Being able to create your own weapons allows you to create the ideal weapon that you want at the level you want and the weakness that you want. So it actually makes you much more powerful in combat. Not only that, by crafting gear, all of your gear is untuned. So you can attune this gear that you craft to any of the zones. So it's actually very helpful to be able to craft your own weaponry. Another thing that the blacksmith does is that it gives you access to the quest that is called Lost and Found. So you need, I believe it's level 60 blacksmith to do it. And when you unlock this quest and complete it, you'll have the ability to merge 3 purple weapons together to get yourself an epic weapon, which are far more powerful. So not only are you able to make your own weapons, you're able to merge them together to make a more powerful weapon by having the quest. That's why having at least 60 blacksmith, even if you're not a cryo is really important. Excluding people who have just started the game and don't have a lot of money, I think that everybody should be buying the materials for the first 20 levels. The reason I think this is because it's cheap, it's quick, and it gets you to level 20 so you can start using your KP points on it if you want. So for starting off with smithing, we're going to be starting in the Goblin Workshop, which is located down the bottom side, and it is close to the teleporter, which is over here, which is very, very helpful. So I mentioned buying, okay? So you're going to buy your ore down here in the Goblin Marketplace. It's pretty close to the Goblin Workshop, so you can run back and forwards with the ore pretty rapidly. So we're going to run over to the Goblin Marketplace right now, and we're going to talk to the NPC. When you talk to the NPC, it's going to offer you different types of ores. I'm going to provide you a wiki page underneath the video. If you bring it up, it'll give you much more information on like what level you need to smelt these ores. So I definitely recommend looking at that so you don't get confused. But you can also click on them and see the levels here. Though I would definitely rely more on the wiki page than I would on the in-game tools. Another thing is that you can see that it says Gnome Smelter, Goblin Smelter, Goblin Smelter. Don't worry about the Gnome Smelter for now. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the video. But just keep in mind that not all of this ore goes into the same smelter. Okay, so we're going to grab the ore. And now we're just going to run back. So you have a couple options here. You can buy the ore and then smelt it and then put it away. Or you can just put it away so you can do smelting all in a row. Personally, I prefer buying the ore, banking it, and then just kind of chilling out and smithing for a couple hours at a time. But hey, to each his own. So over here is the area where you're going to deposit your ore and your bars. So you can open it up and you see all the bars and ores that you currently have. You'll note here it also says the Gnome Forge and the Gnome Smelter to help you understand where you're using your items. So here is the timber bank, which is going to hold on to all of your plank related items. You don't really use these. In fact, you're going out of your way to avoid using these to make the skill a little bit easier. Over here, we have the Blacksmith Design Book, which will of course allow you to click on things and then see what makes it and what level you need to be able to make it. Though I recommend looking at the wiki page that I'm going to provide below, as I mentioned earlier. Using the Goblin Workshop. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go down to here. We're going to grab the ore that we just bought, max it out, and go over here and use it. Generally, what I do is I turn off the option up here to prevent my camera zooming in and out, so I can do something like this. So I stay zoomed out. Put the ore in. You then use the bellows. And you pull the bars out. Keep doing this until your inventory is complete. The reason I generally play like this with a big camera is because I can use the mini-map to move around. And if you zoom out the camera like this, you can just right-click, deposit all, assuming you had all bars, open it back up, quickly grab your ore again by clicking on the side to find the ore you want, max, and then you can just click here and go back. So it's pretty chill, it's pretty quick, and it's slightly AFK-ish. So you can kind of watch something else when you're doing it if that is what you wish to do. Okay, so we'll put in these 6 ores, apologies, and we will smith them, and then we're going to have a look at what the bars do. Keep in mind that the level required to smelt the ore can be a little bit confusing. Like the T2 iron ore required, I believe it's 37 smithing, which was actually very high. So be sure to check out that wiki page as you level up. Okay, so now that we have the bars, we're going to use the Goblin Forge. As you can see, level 37. Okay, so here is the recipes. I'm going to talk a little bit about recipes and what I'd recommend, but you can also look at the wiki page and it'll tell you how much it'll cost you if you buy all the items and craft them. So you can look at the XP per hour and you can look at the gold cost per hour and determine on your own what you want to make. Generally though, what people do is they make the highest item that they can that doesn't involve sticks. Because when you use the sticks or the planks, it takes extra slots up in your inventory and it's pure cost because you have to go and get the plank related items. So generally people will pick this, for example here, they will pick 4 or they'll pick 5. The thing here though is that it's only like a 40 XP difference and it's an entire extra bar. So you need to decide, is the XP, what is this, like 1/17th, 1/18th, slightly better? Like the XP difference is minimal and it's an entire extra bar. So you need to decide on whether or not you want to save bars or you want to splurge to get that little bit of extra XP. Again, refer to the spreadsheet for more precise details. Okay, so we're going to use the forge here. The forge is definitely more AFKable than the smelter. As you can see here, I probably have like 15 to 20 seconds of hands off the keyboard and just kind of watching it. This is ideal for doing other things in the meantime, in your computer while you're waiting for it to come back. Okay, when he's done, he'll come back to the forge and then I can click on the item and do it again. There we go. And you forge another one. Okay, so you've forged some items. Okay, so you've forged an inventory full of items. What are you going to do now? You have 2 options. What you're going to do is you're going to open up your quartermaster and you're going to deposit all in backpack. And it's going to deposit them in this row here. Because they're untuned, they'll always come here. So you'll do a couple of inventories and you'll put them all in here until this is full. You'll know when this is full because you'll attempt to put more in there and it won't allow you to do it. Once that happens, you'll usually be left with 1 or 2 items. Just move them down to the bottom and do 1 extra inventory. Okay? Then you open your quartermaster thing back up, you scroll all the way down, and you take them all out. So you take your entire inventory out. So at this point, you're going to have an inventory full of gear. You're going to note that most of the gear that you have are going to be green. And they're the least valuable. If you're looking to maximize XP and you don't really care about the silver loss, then you can drop the greens and only hold on to the blues or even the purples and just keep grinding XP. If you are worried about the silver loss, what you need to do is after you put all your items out, you need to go to teleport and you need to go back to Hopeport. This is pretty good for the goblin area because it's actually really close to a teleporter. So we're going to run over here and we're going to sell them. As your level goes up and the tier of quality of items you make, so for example, more purples are worth more, and the level itself of the weapon will determine how much it sells for. For example, on my bone rat, I think I'm selling my inventories for like 300 to 400 silver each. And there you go. So the green is only worth 2 silver. That's why some people determine that it's better to just drop the greens because they're not as valuable. So that becomes harder to do as your level gets higher because the ingredient costs get higher and the cost of the items get higher. So you need to sell them. So here's hit the teleport and you go back to the mine on the southwest. And then you go back to the goblin smithy and you just smelt items again. So after you've done this, you'll then be ready to move on to the Gnome Forge. So let's go and have a look at that. We have arrived at the Gnome Forge. So the Gnome Forge works similar to the Goblin Forge. However, it takes different types of ore. So the bank for here is located for the bars. So let's just take out some ore real quick, max it, and go over here and use it on the machine. Now you may notice here that there are pipes running through here. Each time you use the Gnome Forge, you actually use up gases. So if you don't have gas, you can't actually use the forge. And it's probably the most annoying part about using the Gnome Forge from what I'm hearing from other people. Okay, click on the wheel. Grab your ingots and boom, done. Easy, right? Pretty similar to the Goblin Forge. The main difference here is this gas inlet. So you can set up to a maximum of 1,000 gas, and I recommend getting 1,000 gas before you start using this, so you don't have to keep doing it. So now that you have an idea of how to use the forge, it's the same with Goblin. You get your bars, you use your bars over here, and then you create your item and then deposit it in the bank, and you're going to teleport back home the exact same way as you did before, while creating items, avoiding the planks. So now I'm going to go on to talk about how to get the gas. Welcome to why the Gnome Forge is annoying. So right now I'm on the left side of the mine, about halfway down, right next to the bone vats and the bone crafting area. You're going to see these little gas leeches in the water. You basically need to jump in here and fill your inventory up by picking up the gas leeches. It's not exactly a difficult task, but it does take a while. And you want to be smithing, so you're kind of gritting your teeth while you're doing this. So what you're going to want to do is just keep running around until your inventory is full. I collected a full inventory of the empty gas leeches from over here. And then I moved from here down to the right through the tentacles down to here. So all you're going to do now is you're going to use it on the gas vent and then wait. Once it fills up with the gas vent, you're then going to teleport using the teleport back to the deep mine if you have it. You're going to run back up into the Gnome Forge. After the long journey throughout the mines, I have now finally got back to the Gnome Forge, so I can put some gas into the pipes. As you can see, it only goes up, 10 at a time? So it's actually quite painful. So now you can imagine why people get a little bit frustrated at the gas rate at which it goes down and that you have to go get more gas. But hey, it's the mechanic and you have to deal with it. This is the primary reason, though, I try to stay to the Goblin smithy as much as I can, because it doesn't require a mechanic like this. But unfortunately, when you look at the webpage that I link below, you'll be able to see that the XP goes up substantially with each tier of ore you get. And the tiers of ore go like Goblin Gnome, Goblin Gnome, Goblin Gnome. You kind of don't really have a choice but to come up. You can't avoid it, otherwise you'll lose a lot of XP. Everything else in here, like these jewelry benches here, are just kind of AFK benches. The only things that you need to worry about is the smelter and the forge in which you use to make items. I really recommend that you unlock this teleport in the deep mine before you start doing the gnome smelting, because otherwise you would be running from down here all the way up here, all the way around here, back down. No, apologies, you'd go from here across, up here, all the way down there and into that. So as you can see, really don't recommend doing it unless you have the deep mine. Okay, so I think that covers everything you need to know for the level 1 to level smithing. Just kind of going over what I talked about. When you're smithing items, smith the highest item that you're comfortable with, either the one that uses slightly more bars or the one that uses slightly less bars, and avoid ones that take plank related items as much as possible, and always do the highest tier ore, because if you don't, the XP rate is substantially lower. If you have any questions, do let me know below. Until next time.